Alright, this is M&T Exotics, Fangs TV. I'm Tom.
Mike.
And basically, we want to do these educational videos to try to teach people more about tarantulas. Now, there's a wide gap in the knowledge of tarantulas. Some are beginners, some are intermediate, some are advanced. So some of the stuff that we go over will be more for beginners. Some may benefit intermediate and some advanced. So basically, the main point of why we started doing this was to help educate people about tarantulas and reptiles and other type of exotic animals. So basically, we breed captively different types of ball pythons, geckos, tarantulas, other invertebrates. So we're just going to kind of go over today about basic tarantula care, and then maybe how to handle your tarantulas, moving them from container to container. We don't necessarily advise people holding them and stuff like that. Some are handleable, but every animal has its own individual personality. So
Yeah, just like Tom's saying, every tarantula has its personal identity, personalities. Everybody says there's beginning tarantulas and expert tarantulas. Pretty much anything could be from as common as a rosea all the way up to your goody ornamentals, which could be really crazily run around. But even a rosea could be crazy in terms of running around and not being your most friendly one to be holding. But these are good beginner tarantulas. They're not really likely to be running around, running away from you. As you can see, this one here is just calmly sitting here. A spider of this size generally is in about the subadult, almost adult size. So you're going to be wanting to have a container or an enclosure that is at least twice the size of the leg span of the tarantula. So in terms of a container like this, it's a little on the big side for it, but it would more or less, you could probably move it into there and it would therefore then live in that container for the rest of its life. The container that it was in, it is of course a little on the small side, and these are generally what they're sold in. You could leave it in there, but primarily you're going to want to get it into a more decorative idea, because they are more of a display animal. They're not pets you're going to take to the park. You're not really going to walk around with them or anything like that. So pretty much, as you can see, we have a little container here that we're ultimately going to put our rosea in there. These are the containers. I don't know if anybody's purchased these from us, but these are the containers that we sell. They do have a nice backdrop on them with the naturally harvested wood with some of the moss. For substrates, we recommend to use Eco Earth. There's a few reasons for Eco Earth. For one, it doesn't have a tendency to grow microbes or fungus on it. Usually if it does, it's from food matter or some other bacteria or something that's on there. It's easily cleaned. It does hold moisture very well if your species is a tropical species and does require some humidity. Desert species would work as well on this. You just don't want to put any kind of humidity to it. But pretty much, all we're going to do is take the Eco Earth here. We're going to fill this up here. Going to spread it around. Tarantulas are basically nocturnal animals, so during the daytime you're really not going to see them too much. So therefore they do need a place to hide and feel secure. In our enclosures we sell a piece of cork bark with some plants and stuff on it to give it a little festive feel. But again, it could be anything from a half-cut cup, pottery plant, or anything that you choose. It's a question of how decorative you really want to make it, but all in all, it does need a place for the tarantula to feel secure. And again, tarantulas do drink some water, but they don't need a swimming pool in terms of a big bodied water that they need to get in. Basically any kind of lid, Gatorade cup, or a real small water dish that's shallow. If it's anything that's like half-inch or more, you're going to want to put a rock or something in there so that the tarantula can therefore not drown and have means to get some moisture. Some desert species will actually fill that water bowl up with the substrate. So again, it's the personal preference of the tarantula if it wants to have a water bowl or not, but at least keep a corner of the substrate wet at least once a week so that at least it can go over there and get some humidity. The worst case scenario for a tarantula would for it to be to dry out or desiccate. And a lot of it has to do with your keeping your substrate moist and giving it a place to get some moisture when it is needed.
Now, as far as feeding would go, we feed all of our tarantulas crickets. Another acceptable meals would be dubia roaches or mealworms. They're also plenty. It's important to gut load your feeders before you give them because they're going to take in the nutrients that you give those feeders. So usually we do dry cat food or dog food and obviously some fresh vegetables. But you do want to make sure that they are gut loaded before you feed them. And then we usually generally feed our tarantulas once a week. So one cricket, one dubia, a couple mealworms once a week, and that's usually suffice. Maybe something that roughly the size of the abdomen of the specimen. So we'll go ahead and place her in here, and
And then the other big thing that a lot of people hear about and talk about is heat mats, heat lamps, and temperatures of the tarantulas. You really want to avoid generating hot spots with heat mats. And also with heat emitters or hot bulbs. The tarantulas really do not have a way of really thermal regulating, so they really don't know that they're in real contact of a hot spot, which therefore they will cook themselves or sometimes desiccate, like we were talking a little bit ago, drying themselves out without them really realizing. So as they're burrowing, trying to cool themselves, you're actually having a heat mat under there is going to therefore cook them. The heat emitters, the same way, they're going to dry the enclosure out a lot faster than if you just left it in a room temperature setting. 75 degrees to about 82-ish is where we want to keep most species of tarantulas in terms of temperature. The hotter you get, the worse off it is. The colder you get, it's more or less the activity of the tarantula is going to go down. So more, I think, hotness is more of a killer than the actual being super cold. Granted, for long durations of being cold, probably will kill the tarantula, but here and there through the climate changes that we experience here in the United States, usually in a room temperature, if you're comfortable, your tarantula is comfortable.
Alright, well thank you very much for watching this short little brief housing video. Now in the future we'll expand a little bit more on certain things, but make sure to like us and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Yes, talk to you soon.